All right, good evening, folks. I'm meteorologist Thompson here in the TV9 newsroom. Going to give you a little bit of an update on the snow and the road conditions here in eastern Iowa this evening. We don't have a newscast this evening at 6 o'clock due to some NBA games that ABC is televising, so I thought it'd be a good idea to provide an update here on Facebook and our website instead. So we do have plenty of snow still falling across a good portion of eastern Iowa. Let's get into it in terms of what we still have in effect in terms of winter weather. A winter weather advisory is in effect for the areas shaded in purple. That includes most areas along and north of Highway 30. That's where we have the potential for additional snowfall accumulation, especially happening there. The winter storm warning continues for just a few counties in our northwest, west of Waterloo, where the heaviest snow has been seen so far. So that is what we have still in effect, but the overall picture is that we still have the potential for additional snowfall this evening. So let's take a look at pinpoint Doppler radar at this hour, where we still have snow falling across a good chunk of eastern Iowa. So we're seeing that still, especially along and north of Highway 20, which is really what we expected going into this storm system, with the bulk of the light to moderate snow still taking place there. Pinpointing just a bit closer, you can see some banding nature to this snowfall across the area, especially in the Elkader region. Clayton County seeing some of the heaviest snow right now, as well as little streaks that go back toward areas near Vandalia, as well as Waverly. So we're still seeing some of that here. You see just streaks of snow from south of Decorah to New Hampton. So in Decorah, the snow isn't falling quite as heavily, but if you travel south on Highway 52, you're going to run into reduced visibility and likely slicker roads because of that banding nature of this activity. So that's one thing to keep an eye on. Another is an area to the south where you didn't see as much color filling in the map there, but you still see some scattered here in the southern viewing area. That's where the potential for some still light snow or maybe even a little bit of wintry mix. You see it here along and south of Highway 30. That is where we're watching for that potential. I stepped outside the station just a little bit ago, mostly saw areas of like snow pellets or a little bit of sleet with some light snow mixed in. There's the potential we could see a little bit of freezing drizzle here too, especially the farther south you go. So areas that haven't had the worst road conditions so far this evening could start to see those deteriorate pretty quickly as we go over the next few hours, thanks to that potential. Now, road conditions are worst where the snow has been falling heaviest, areas west of Dubuque along Highway 20 and to the south in portions of Jones, Jackson, and Clinton counties too. But notice there are some roads in Tama County reported as completely covered with snow as well. So if we take a slightly closer look, the Cedar Rapids metro area listed as partially covered with at least a little bit of snow. Now, major highways have been in pretty good shape, but side streets certainly are very slick at this hour still, and with additional precipitation still falling, they'll likely stay that way. Areas to the north of Highway 20, that's where we could see things get a little bit worse this evening as snow continues to fall. And to the south, Iowa City and Washington rated as seasonal. That doesn't mean you couldn't find some slick spots, again, especially on those less traveled roadways going forward. Now, in terms of what we're expecting over the next few hours, well, things should start to taper off. This is Pinpoint Futurecast at 7 o'clock. Notice that there's still the potential for light activity to the south, but to the north is where we're expecting more widespread activity over the next couple of hours. So areas Iowa City, Washington, Mount Pleasant, not ruling it out, but the most likely area for accumulating snow will be to the north. And that continues over the next few hours past that. That's when we'll see things start to taper off, though. After about 11 to midnight to 1 o'clock, that's when we should really see things start to dry out, and that will be when things start to improve. Now, overnight, we're expecting winds to stay relatively strong out of the north, and that will be a similar trend as we go through the morning hours of Sunday. That will likely, for one, bring in colder air, and for two, keep roads potentially a little bit slick, especially in open rural areas. That's where we could see some blowing snow, and that will lead to the potential for road conditions to take a little bit longer to improve. Now, by tomorrow morning, especially mid and late morning, after what will be a couple hours of potentially some sunshine, we're likely to see things improving quite a bit. That is the good news there. But the two things that'll be working against it are the winds and the potential for very cold temperatures. That does make melting the snow with salt and sand solutions a little bit worse. Would be much better for your closer to freezing, but we will be falling short of that. Now, as we head towards Sunday evening, things remain at least partially cloudy at that point. So in terms of new snowfall accumulation this evening, a trace to 2 inches for the areas highlighted in white. So the area most likely to see those heavier totals closer to 2 inches, additional snowfall, would be up here toward northeast Iowa, where we saw some of that heavier banding appearing on pinpoint Doppler radar. That's where we could see toward the higher end of that range. Areas outside of that, yeah, we could add a little bit more, half an inch, still a possibility. But north of Highway 20 is where most of that will be taking place. It's areas to the south where we've seen less and less snowfall going on. For example, here in Sigourney, our city cam, strong winds, sure, out of the north, but in terms of precipitation falling, there doesn't seem to be a lot. Similar story in Solon, which is a little bit further to the north, up in northeast Johnson County, where roads are still slick. This is Iowa Highway 1 in that area. And yeah, the center lane, of course, or center line rather, still fairly snowy, and some tracks in the snow-covered roadways, but still snow on them. Mount Vernon is a similar picture, where if you look in the distance, that street light has some precipitation falling in it, but overall conditions not too bad there. People are able to get out and about, and you will be as you go through the evening, but just give yourself extra time. You just gotta factor in that'll take a little bit longer to get there. And that's the thing that you need to keep in mind. Similar story in Dubuque, where we've seen light to moderate snow for the last few hours. They'll probably get a pretty healthy total once we get things all said and done. Fayette City Cam, similar story there too, where we've had a decent amount of snow falling. And you still see that they've plowed once, and they'll have to plow again on the campus of Upper Iowa University thanks to the continued snow. That's Interstate 380 at Wilson Avenue in Cedar Rapids. Yes, there are some slick roadways below, but mostly wet. We had a commenter, Colleen, mentioned that the roadways on the way back from the Iowa women's basketball game this evening were decent, but side roads in the Solon area are slick. Thanks, Colleen, for the mention there. And then this is Highway 100 near the F Avenue intersection in Cedar Rapids, where you can see a fair amount of snow still on the road, and that's Collins Road. It's a pretty popular road, so it's certainly one you'll need to take it easy on. It's Interstate 380 near Highway 20. It's interchange there near the Waterloo-Cedar Falls region, where you can see on-ramps and off-ramps are very snowy. Travel lanes a little bit better, but certainly one that you're wanting to slow down. 380 near Crossroads Mall, a little bit further to the north and west in the Waterloo area. That's where we see still plenty of snow on the road. So slick spots very, very likely there. First Avenue near Corville, though, paints a different picture. Roads were listed as seasonal. Certainly looks that way from a bird's eye view, but as we know, roads can get slick quickly. So make sure to take it easy out there. Take another look at pinpoint Doppler radar, with snow mostly falling north of Highway 20. So for the last hour or so, with light to moderate snow. But if we notice, looking off to the west, a general diminishing trend, where there was a bit of a heavier band near the Fort Dodge area. It has started to weaken a bit, and this is kind of the back end of stuff that will shift to the east and north of east over the next few hours. So again, the overall picture is for the possibility of a trace to 2 inches of snow going forward over the next little while. So certainly something that you'll want to take seriously. That is the latest on the winter storm that we have here going on in eastern Iowa. It's a manageable one, but certainly one that you'll want to take the appropriate caution. As mentioned, just drive a little bit slower, give yourself some more distance to stop. It certainly is slick in those intersections, especially as it certainly and often does get. We'll be back on after the games tonight on ABC on KCRG TV9, giving you the latest update on the KCRG TV9 news at 10. Otherwise, check out the KCRG TV9 First Alert Weather Facebook page. We'll have additional information there throughout the evening, too. For now, though, I'm meteorologist Corey Thompson. Thanks for joining us here during this Facebook Live.